Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Nevertheless Commentaries. I am your host, Sipon Lovo Sipon Sport, your favorite unk on the night. We just witnessed a beautiful game of Morocco versus Tanzania in AFCON 2025 in Morocco. Morocco, as a home side, has won with 1-0. I think it was a beautiful encounter, a very, very dominant side from Morocco, with the likes of Excellency as a wing play and Diaz. I think they were very, very instrumental in making sure that Morocco got the win today. Hakimi, the captain, I think he led the side very, very well. I think also El Aina was very, very impressive as a 6 or as a CDM there, but you could see that there were glimpses of missing some creativity that Unai usually brings on that game of Nigeria. You could see that Unai wasn't there. The number 8, I think, is very, very prolific and very, very instrumental in that game of Morocco in terms of creativity, because the approach of Tanzania, it was a 3-5-2. It looks like a 3-4-3, but if you look close at it, you could see that it was a 3-5-2 with the number 10 or their attacking midfielder Salum dropping back to actually add numbers in terms of defense. So they were overloading the middle, making sure that they denied the likes of El Khani, El Aina, Saibari, the time and space on the ball. But I think it was a beautiful approach from the Moroccan side, which is 1-4, 1-2-3, and I think Diaz had a free role today. Probably always he had a free role because he played more as a number 10, sometimes as a right wing who tucks in and allow Hakimi to run down the line and obviously making those crosses or cutback, which Hakimi can be very, very good and dangerous with those balls. So that's what was the play of Diaz, because you could see him tucking in next to El Gabi, or sometimes he's going to the left to play with Ezalzul, who was also playing a little bit of a tuck-in, sometimes allowing Saibiri to go far to the left to whip in those crosses, or sometimes they let Mazraoui to actually run down the lines to be the one who brings on those crosses. So that was the approach of the Morocco, using the wing plays, but their fullback most of the time, their wingers, proper wingers, were tucking in to allow the fullbacks to actually run down the line, to be the ones who actually whipping those crosses or playing those cuts back. Sometimes Saibari and Elkana will be the one, some players that actually runs towards the line to actually receive the ball on the wingers and actually whipping those crosses. But I think that was the strategy of the Tanzania, because if you look at the fact that they congested the middle, knowing that the strength of the Moroccans is in the middle. So if they actually congest the middle, they make sure that they deny time, space on the ball for the players like El Kanous, El Ainau and Saibari. They make sure that when they congest the middle, they deny them the spaces and time on the ball and forces them to actually play using the wing play, which will see a player like Hakimi and also Mazraoui running down the lines. And if you look at the Tanzania, basically, they were looking to exploit those spaces. They want to push them wide so that they will draw the player like Hakimi and Mazraoui to run down the flanks, and they leave those spaces on the other side of Masina and Aged. So they were looking for a ball that they were going to play there for a player like Suleiman or Msuva to actually run into those spaces and collect the ball. And they were hoping to actually hurt Morocco with those kind of a ball. But sometimes Salum was a little bit late in approach or in attack on position, simply because the strategy was connecting two passes and then whipping those long passes, trying to exploit those spaces that I'm talking about. But it wasn't working. Most of the time it wasn't working. There were two chances that they got. I think the first one was only first 2 minutes of the game, where we saw Suleiman actually running, drifting to the right and actually whipping in that cross. And I think it was Msuva who actually failed to actually put the turn on the back of the net. Should he opted to head the ball into an open net, I think he probably would have scored that one, but he tried to play fancy. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he's not used to be in that position and have to head the ball. I think that was the glorious opportunity they've had, but they failed to actually convert it. Which so, because when the game began, you could see that they were actually combining very, very well. I mean, the Tanzanian with the likes of Mishori Msanga in the middle of the park, and also Mnonga. I think they were very, very good in terms of combination play in the middle, but they were not as progressive as they should have been. They were just happy with congesting Saibari, El Canos, but progressively they weren't given much for Tanzania, which was their disadvantage on this game. But all in all, the game as the game progresses, because when it began, it looks like Tanzania wasn't going to defend. But if you look at the approach 3-5-2, you could see that there's a defensive approach, and they are waiting for a transitional football, as I've explained. That they wanted to use the space that was left by Umazrao and also Hakimi on the right to actually exploit those spaces. So they were happy to sit back and allow Morocco to circulate the ball, as long as it's not on the areas where they are going to get hurt. And I think in the first half it worked very, very well, because we saw the end of first half there was no shot at goals. So the only opportunity that I think it was a decent opportunity is the one that was for Tanzania on the second minute, which they failed to actually convert it. Coming back to the second half, I think Morocco came with the mentality that if they actually block us in front of goal, we will shoot outside the box, because that was evident on the first minute of the second half. But their circulation of the ball was even better. I'm talking about the Moroccans on the second half. You could see that they are intentional now. They are circulating the ball with the intention to hurt Tanzania, and I think Tanzania somehow cracked on their full back, because you could see the players like Hakim now getting the ball wide, but and also be able to actually play in those dangerous balls, which look to hurt Tanzania in any moment. And also on the other side, it was the same thing. So their full backs was cracking. I thought they were going to actually fix that, because a player like Mnonga and Job were failing to contain a player like Excellency, Saibari, Nomazrao, when they all shift to the left side of the pitch on the dangerous zone. So Mnonga, not Job, were failing to actually deal with those players, because Umsanga actually, there was a player with a ginger head, I forgot his name. He wasn't actually helping them in defensive, but also moving forward, he wasn't giving them anything. So I was hoping that he wasn't going to come back on the second half, but he came back, and then they substituted him late. I think that guy is Mnonga. So he wasn't giving them so much, because you could see that they are 3-4-3, having three players who are three central defenders. Noga, it was his duty to actually make sure that a player like Esal Zuli or Usaipari or Omazraoui on the left, on the right hand side of Tanzania, they're not whipping those crosses, but he wasn't giving them something defensively, and also offensively he wasn't giving them something. I think it was the same thing on the second half with Hussein. He was failing to actually shield Muhammad, to ensure that a player like Diaz, if he drifts to the right, or a player like Elkan, if he supports the play, or Hakimi, if he runs down the line, Hussein failed to actually protect a player like Muhammad, to make sure that those crosses were not whipped into the dangerous zones. But we saw striker El Kabi getting a free header, which I thought it should have been a goal, but unfortunately it was missed. And also a beautiful shot on a set piece from Hakimi, which hit the crossbar. You could see then that in Morocco is playing with intention, and they are looking for a win, and they really, really want to actually hurt Tanzania. Tanzania got a break. They attack. As they attack, they lose the ball, because in most cases their front two players, which is Suleiman and Msuva, they were finding themselves isolated on position. They will play these two passes, short passes, and then play those long passes, which at times didn't work, because they lose position in most cases with that kind of mentality. Now, this time they did actually manage to find I think it was Suleiman on that side. So who was driving with the ball, but isolated. He didn't have options. He didn't know who to play with the ball. So he had no options. He was isolated. Then they got that ball, sent it to Hakim, who eliminated Hussein, and then passed to Diaz, who eliminated Hamad. I think Hamad is a good defender, by the way. Hamad is a good, beautiful defender, a good defender. I think his play was very, very impressive, and he actually played a huge role to make sure that the score is respectful. So with Diaz, you can't allow him to think, and I think that the mistake that they did here, they left him isolated with Ahmad, which he just dropped his shoulder, and passed through him and hit it hard on the near post. I think that was a poor goalkeeping by Umaselanga Lapana. Poor goalkeeping, because it was hit hard right on the near post and it went in. And I think Umaselanga Lapa was hoping that Diaz was going to play a cross. He anticipated the cross, but Brahim Diaz, he went low and hard on the near post and then he hit him. And that's how the Moroccans actually won their game. On the 80th minute, towards the end of the game, you could see that, okay, there are glimpses of the fact that Tanzanians can actually play. They really can play. But you could see that the instruction from the coach was they play few passes and try to exploit those spaces that I've told you that they are actually making the Moroccans actually open up those spaces to actually Msava and Suleiman to exploit those spaces. You could see that it was that instruction. We contained them, we gained position, we played the ball on those spaces, and we hit them hard on a transition, but it wasn't working. So, but in the last 10 minutes, you could see that even after the substitutions, that actually Tanzania can play football. They had some beautiful combination passes. They can dribble. They are arrogant on the ball. You could see this is a team that can play, but they didn't play. They didn't play. The strategy of the coach actually let down the Tanzanian. But should they actually approach that game with the mentality they've had in the first 15 minutes, which was, we are going to play. They play, we play. We will see who's the best. The best team will win. If they approach the game with that mentality, I think you should have seen a different ball game, a different result. But sometimes these coaches are the reasons some of these teams lose their game. Some of these teams lose their game. So good luck to the Argentinian Gamondi. They will fight to live another day. Good luck to the Moroccans. They are at home side. Look at it. Who cuts the grass at this time of the day? It's 8:20. It's at night. It's dark. Somebody outside is cutting the grass. Who does that? Okay, congratulations to the Moroccans. It was a beautiful win. They actually waiting to see who's gonna win between South Africa and the Cameroon. So maybe the best team win. But don't forget, if you watch through this fight, don't forget to smash this up. Have your say. I love you. My name is Sipon Dovu, Sipon Sport. This is Nevertheless Commentaries. I'm your favorite Unc on the net. Don't forget to smash the sub. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one after South Africa versus Cameroon. I love you.